everyone, my name is Amaka and you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this bubu dress you're seeing on the thumbnail. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started. Now these are the fabrics we'll be using for this tutorial. Now this one is going to be the collar, the button part, the part that will have button, while this will be the main dress. I have 2.5 yards of fabric here, while this is 2 yards, but what I need from here is just little, just the collar part. Now this fabric is folded into 2. I'm going to fold it again into 4. So I folded it again into 4. So now I'm going to start by taking my shoulder measurement. Half of the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 7 inches. But because of the style of this dress, I'm going to add 1 inch to that 7 inches, and that gives you 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches here. I'll mark 8 inches here. Now from this 8 inches mark, I'm going to mark 6 inches. Now 6 inches is for that turn up, for the agbada, that agbada effect. So I'm going to mark 6 inches here. So this is my 6 inches. Now the sleeve length is 8 inches. So the sleeve length is 7 inches. Plus 1 inch seam allowance, that gives you 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches here. The front neck width I'm working with is 3 inches. I'm working with front neck width of 3 inches. And front neck depth, the front neck depth is 7 inches. Now the back neck width is also 3 inches. And the back neck depth is 1.5 inches. So I'll connect the points. On this point, on this 7 inches point, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. I'll mark 1.5 inches outward, just like this. And I'll connect this point to this point. Now this 1.5 inches, I'm going to mark it down to this point. Now from this point, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slant. And I'll connect it to the neckline. Now from my shoulder to waist point is 16 inches. Shoulder to hip point is 24 inches. And shoulder to the full length. Now the full length of my dress is 49 inches. It's 59 inches plus 1 inch hemming allowance. So I'm going to extend this point. 16 inches, 24, 59 and 60. So I'll connect the points. Now the next thing I'm going to do from this point, I'm going to take my round sleeve measurement. Now my round sleeve measurement is, I'm going to be working with 10 inches. I'll use 10 inches round sleeve measurement. So this is my round sleeve measurement. I'm going to check the measurement I have here. What I have here is 22 inches. The measurement I have here, I'm going to bring it down here. And I'll connect this point to this point. Now, on this waist point, I'm going to take my waist measurement. Now, my waist circumference is 32 inches. 32 divided by 4. 32 divided by 4 gives you 8 inches. 8 inches plus 5 inches for ease and 1 inch seam allowance. Now my hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 gives you 10 inches. 10 inches plus, this is 10 inches plus 5 inches for ease. 1 inch seam allowance. Now on the hem, I'm going to take the same measurement I took here, my hip measurement, which is 10 inches. 5 inches for ease. 1 inch seam allowance. The same thing on the hem, on the hemming allowance. Now I'll connect this point to this point and this point to this point. Then I'll draw it down to the hem. So I'm just going to do something like this. And I'll connect this to this. And I'll connect this to this. And I'll cut it. I'm going to start by cutting the back. When I cut the back and remove the back panel, then I'll cut the front. So I'm going to I'll remove the back panel. I'll cut the front. So now, after cutting it, now this is what I have. So I'm going to join the back panel and the front panel. I'm going to start by joining the shoulders. So this is the shoulder. I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to I'm going to join the shoulder. I'll start by joining the shoulders. So I'll do it and show you the next thing to do. I'm going to sew it this way, sew it to that point, and I'll sew this to this point. So I'll do it and show you the next thing to do. So now, I've joined the shoulders. Now this is how to achieve that agbada effect. Now from here, remember that my sleeve length is 8 inches. So from here, I'm going to mark my 8 inches sleeve length. Now this is my 8 inches sleeve length. This is my 8 inches sleeve length. Now from this point, I'm going to mark 6 inches. The 6 inches I kept for the turn up. So this is it. For the agbada effect. Now this is it. So this is my 6 inches. Here, from here and here is my 6 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do, now I'm going to find the midpoint of these 6 inches. Now this is the midpoint. 3 inches is the midpoint. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold this 3 inches mark and I'll hold this. Now this is the 6 inches. So this is my 6 inches mark. So I'm going to tack it. I'm going to tack it. Now you can decide to sew it. You can decide to sew it to the sleeve length, but I'm going to tack it. So I'll tack it. Now this is my needle and thread. I'll tack it with my needle and thread. So now this is what I have. Now after tacking it, it's going to be like this. Now I'm going to tack only here. I'm not going to tack this side. I'm tacking only the shoulder. Now I'm going to do the same thing here as well. So I'll do it and show you the outcome. Now this dress is going to have pockets. Let me show you how to cut out the pockets. Now I'm going to fold this fabric into 4. So I'm just going to place my hand this way and I'll just draft out the pocket. So I'll cut it. This is the waist point. I'm going to come down by 2 inches from the waist point. 2 inches from the waist point, and I'll notch it. So this is what I'm going to do. Now this is I'll turn it to the right side. So now this is the pocket. This is the right side of the front panel, and this is now I'm going to place this pocket right side facing right side, just like this, and I'll sew it. I'm going to sew it with half inch seam allowance. Now let me illustrate with pin. So after sewing with half inch seam allowance, I'm going to push the seam allowance on the pocket and top stitch. I'll top stitch. Now the same way I'm also going to do this. Now this is the back panel. This is the back panel. I'll bring the pocket. I'm going to place it right side facing right side, just like this. And I'll sew it. I'll take it to my sewing machine. I'll sew it with half inch seam allowance. But let me illustrate with pin. So after sewing with half inch seam allowance, I'm going to push this. I'm going to push the lining. After sewing with half inch seam allowance, I'm going to push the seam allowance on the pocket and top stitch. I'll top stitch. Now after that, I'm going to turn it this way. I'll turn it to the wrong side. So I'm going to place it. I'll place it right side facing right side, and I'll sew. Now this is how I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew it like this with 1 inch seam allowance. I'll sew it to this point, and I'll sew it again. Then I'll sew it down. I'll sew it down. So the same way I'm going to do this, I'm also going to do the other side. So I'll do it and show you the outcome. After joining it, this is what I have. This is what I have after joining it. I've fixed the pocket. This is the pocket. So now I'm going to measure from here. Now this is 60 inches. One twenty inches. So what I have here is 130 inches. So from here to this point is 130 inches. What I measured is 130 inches. So I'm going to cut out the collar, and the collar is going to be the length of the collar is going to be 130 inches. Now I've cut out the collar. I've also ironed the interfacing on the collar. Now if you place this on fold, what I have here is 2.5 inches on fold. But the length is more than 130. So now let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew this. Now I'm going to hold this. I'm going to sew this on this, just like this. Now I'll start from here, from this edge, and I'll place this on this, right side facing right side, and I'll sew. I'll sew with half inch seam allowance. I'll sew with half inch seam allowance. So I'll sew it round. I'll sew it round and come back to this point. So I'm going to do it. After that, after sewing it, I'll hem the lower part, and I'll also hem the sleeve. Then I'll iron it. I'll do it and show you the outcome. So after sewing, now this is what I have. Now look at the sleeve. You see the agbada effect. So this is what I have. I've also sewn the band. I'm going to be using this pressing buttons to finish this dress. So I'm going to start my buttons from here. So I'm going to give 3 inches intervals. So I'm starting my button from here, and I'm giving 3 inches intervals. So I'll stop here. I'm going to stop my buttons here while this part is going to be open. So wherever you stop, that's where your sleeves will start from. So the same way, I'm also going to mark this point. So I'm also going to mark this point. I'm also going to mark this point. So I'll mark it down. And let me show you how to attach the buttons. So I'm going to use this button. I'm going to place this one here and I'll sew it. So for this one, I'm going to fix this here. Now I'm going to pin it this way. So this is what I'm going to do. The same way I did this, I'm going to do it to this point. I'll stop my pins. I'll stop my buttons here. So now to shape the waist, I'm going to measure, my waist point is 15 inches. I'm going to measure 15 inches from the shoulder, 15 inches from the shoulder point. So this is my waist point. This is my waist point. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to find the midpoint of the waist. I'm going to find the midpoint. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the midpoint. Now this is the midpoint. Now I'm going to find the midpoint between here and here. So this is the midpoint. Now this is the midpoint. Now I'm going to divide my waist circumference by 4. So 32 divided by 4 gives you 8 inches. From this midpoint, I'm going to mark 8 inches here. I'll mark 8 inches here. And I'll mark 8 inches here. From here, I'll mark 8 inches. So I'm going to attach my belt. Now I've cut out my belt. So I have 2 belts here. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. I'm going to sew it this way. And I'm going to sew another one here. So now after sewing it, I'm going to wear it and show you what it looks like. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button, share this video with your friends, share this video in your sewing groups, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.